Going live. It says I'm live. What's up, Buffalo Bills fans? Here we are. This is the first. Well, no, not the first. The last month. The last month we'll spend without football till hopefully for the Buffalo Bills, early to mid-February of next year. So it's the last month without football. I just realized the NBA Finals is going on, so I figured I'd turn on the game, just open up the room, and bullshit, see who comes in. But yeah, I just wanted to come talk to you guys. I upgraded the sound. Can you guys tell the difference? Can you hear me? It says one person's watching. I don't know if they are, but I'll see if the sound is good. Let me know. If it's not, thumbs down. Okay. So let me know if the sound is good. But yeah, we're on the eve of the season. Here we are. It's kind of the lull before the storm, literally, figuratively. Whether you guys are active on Twitter or not, I'm not sure. Some of you are. I know that for a fact. It's been kind of a divide amongst Bills fans as of late on Twitter, as we all know, for various reasons that we'll know. Won't mention some of them because we know them, and some of them I don't want to mention because I don't want my stream or my videos to get taken down or my account to get a strike, because if you say or question certain things, that's what happens. So yeah, and it's unfortunate to see such a tight-knit, close fan base be divided by this. It's really disheartening because we're known as being a really tight group and, very cohesive, they have the crazy parking lot culture, but outside of that, I don't see any real, violence or anything like that. But on Twitter, it's kind of gotten ugly with vitriol at players, vitriol at fans, back and forth. And it got me thinking about this room. And we've had some, divisive elements in this room. Is it divisive or divisive? I'm not sure which. Let me know if it's divisive or divisive. But we stuck together, and we stuck together through a lot of hard years, a lot of tough losses, a lot of people coming in trolling and saying certain things, and we stuck together, and we always are a tight-knit group and have a good group. And that's one thing I like and I love about doing this is because I've met so many great dudes, so many great friends through doing this. It's just such a treat. I love the Bills. We all love the Bills, and to have a shared passion and connect and meet other people that have such a shared passion for the same thing. It's what sports is all about. And to see things try to drive a wedge into that purity and that love and that passion, it really makes me sick to see what's going on. But anyway, we're on the eve of the season. I don't know about you guys. I just kind of hope and pray every day we don't get bad news. It just stays positive. It stays good. Again, let me know if the sound is good. I've got a new device here, so I'm trying it out, and I'm seeing how it all unfolds. But it's that time of the year where you see the proverbial tweet by Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport where a guy is working out and an Achilles or an ACL or something to that effect, and it's just you're holding your head, and it's terrible. So you hope and pray, and this year, unlike last year, which was insane, we're gonna have to deal with preseason. Thankfully, it's one less game. Hopefully, we'll only see Josh Allen for one game, maybe in total. Maybe he'll get 2.5 quarters in and they get him out of there. Outside of that, the way the roster cut down is, it's going to be different than what it was. Going to be more like what it had been with one less game. They're going to do the incremental cut down as opposed to the one cut and then the one big cut at the end of the fourth game. So we're going to see guys let go gradually because of the one less game. I don't know if it affects prep time for the season. Did the guys get a couple extra? I have to look at that. That's something I should have looked at, didn't look at it. But yeah, I just wanted to know what you guys think, what you guys feel about, going into the season. Are you nervous? Are you excited? I noticed there's a certain segment of Bills fans that are gung ho. They're like, let's rock and roll. This team has arrived. We're finally good. And there's still a certain segment of Bills fans who are a little bit of afraid of, there's a fear factor there. They think there's going to be a regression to the mean in Bills terms, that they're going to, go back to being potential. I mean, anything could happen. Don't get me wrong, but they feel like, potential, 9-7, 6-10 is, could happen to, well, was it not 9-8, 10-7, or 11-6? I mean, one extra game. There's another thing we have to get into our lexicon. It's a 17-game season now. It's no longer a 16-game season. So that is one extra opportunity to see the Bills play a meaningful game, which is awesome. I mean, I don't think that, I think that eventually they're going to reach their limit in terms of games, in terms of what guys can and can't handle. Maybe there's a rash of injuries and they scrap it completely. I know they did sell the TV for 17 games, so they have to kind of carry it. But if you start getting like a lot of injuries, or there's competition issues where guys are sitting out for, a week and then maybe a half a game, and there's, it turns into an NBA style. What is that called? What do they call it in the NBA? Maintenance games. I don't see. You never know. You never know what could happen. And it's going to take one of those incidences for the media to blow its top, or one coach to do like a Philly situation like last year, and in a meaningful game, which what that was in every sense of the word, not for Philly, but for the Giants. And it'll be, it's going to be feast or famine on whoever does it. So we'll see how that plays out. But that 17th game, it's something we've never seen before. In my lifetime, the season expanded before I was born. It used to be 14 games, went to 16. Now we're at 17. So we'll see what happens with 17 games. But, let's, it's not too many people in here tonight. Probably just, was it Tuesday going into Wednesday? So I'm probably going to shut it down early, guys. Take care. I'll leave the stream up. You guys can, comment, say whatever you want to say. Again, I know it's a weird time to open up a stream. I really should start doing something more consistent, something more scheduled. So it's like I'm here at this time, this day. So it's more, it's a lot easier to watch and to see. But I don't even know if anybody can hear me. It says the mic is working. The green light is on. So I hope that anybody can hear me. Or if you want to type in the room, let me see. Let me see if the chat is up. It says top chat. Let me see. I'm trying to see. It says chat may not be visible. That's an issue. Pop out chat. Let me see. Okay. I popped the chat out. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat, live chat. Okay. Because I had it up. I wanted to see if it was working okay. Okay, John. What's up, John? How you doing, bro? I didn't even see you were in the room because the chat it just said top chat and then it was blank. 10 D linemen? Yeah. Oh yeah. 10 D linemen is to me a lock for this team. The way they like to rotate defensive linemen, number one, number two, the amount that they've added, 3, the amount of money they have allocated to the position, and just 4, the question marks. I mean, there's a lot of interesting guys. There's a lot of young guys, but there's not a lot of we don't know much at all, anything about these guys, not even Epinesa. We're still trying to figure out about Ed Oliver. We know he's talented. We know he can, make an impact play here and there, but it's about consistency and just, you need a game wrecker. You need 2 game wreckers. This group to me has to be, this group has to produce one guy who can make consistent impact. It has to. I mean, you look at all the resources they've allocated there, draft capital, money, they have to. I think he makes it. Hughes to me I'm kind of in the middle with him. I look at a guy who's a tenured Bill, a team captain, a guy who's kind of reformed himself as a player. He was known as a bit of a recluse. Gary Hughes, when he gets the personal fouls or just acts up a little bit sometimes. But, you see, there's games where he has ability to make plays. And then you see games where, it's just, again, about consistency. Then you look at age, you look at money, maybe play style. Bean talked about size at the defensive end position. And, Hughes is one of the few carryovers. He's one of the few guys that is, he survived the purge, and he's, played in, was it now 4 playoff games with the Bills, more than, the next person. I mean, he played in more playoff games for the Bills than Doug Flutie did. Who would have thought that? More playoff games than, Bryce Paup. So it's crazy to think that, he's been around this long, and he was just a guy they traded for, Kelvin Shepard, and that seemed like a throwaway trade. Your trash for my trash, but it ended up being the Bills' treasure, and the Colts, I don't want to call it grown man trash, but he's just Kelvin Shepard, not a very good football player. Let's be honest. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. If you can't trade, I don't know how they could trade him. The money, the age. I think he's a guy they release early and let him get an opportunity, because they have so many young guys. You want to get those young guys as many opportunities as possible. But do you want to cut Hughes? Risk an injury, maybe a guy gets injured, you don't have back. I mean, it's tough. They're gonna have it's gonna be a numbers game. It's gonna be a really interesting numbers game. John, definitely right. How am I sounding, by the way, John? Do I sound good? I'm just curious. Outside pass rushers, Epinesa, Sebastian. I was talking to a friend a few days ago, Bills fan, and I said, I look at Rousseau, I look at his body type, particularly his width, his arm length, his measurables, height, weight, speed. If he could be one of these two players, or anything like one of these two players, it would be awesome. Jason Taylor, Jason Pierre-Paul, the arm length, the width, the hand size, the measurables too. If he can be anything like one of those two, I think we got something. Basham, to me, is just going to be a fire plug. That guy is, nonstop, go, high motor, relentless. I think he's going to be a very solid run defender. I think, he brings a little bit more girth, a little bit more size. I think they just desire a lot more edge types in terms of setting an edge, not letting guys run to the outside, forcing things back inside, having Starr back in there, calms the middle down. Hopefully our linebackers are healthy outside of the first game of the year. It's like the first game of the year, they're like the only half they're healthy. And then we have to wait till like week 11 till the pairing finally gets healthy, Edmonds and Milano. And when they're healthy, they're up there. They're top 3 in the league in terms of a linebacker pairing, in my opinion. So, and I don't think that's me being biased. I think the Bills defense, with our fan base back in that building and full strength, it's going to be something to deal with, especially with the team that we have coming back. The fan base knowing that they didn't get to see that for a full regular season, and they're just going to welcome them back in that stadium with open arms. It's going to be insane opening day, and I can't wait. But again, like I was saying, this room has been really tight-knit through all the stuff that's been going on social media. I mean, I've seen, it's other little things too. Who made Diggs? Who made Diggs? Is it Allen, or did Diggs make Allen? And people wanted to take sides with that. Or, the Zach Ertz. Every other day I see Zach Ertz as being traded to the Bills, and I'm just like, he's not. It's not happening. And if it's not going to happen yet, and I haven't even heard anything tangible about it happening. But what I heard is happening, and it's not till next season. As you know, the NFL has changed its helmet rule. There's no longer the one color helmet or helmet shell rule. I mean, which was ridiculous. It was some facade rule they made up to pretend that they cared about concussions, and somehow changing the color of the helmet decreased chances of a concussion, which is insane because colleges who have a rule, basically, if they feel like a guy got hit in the head too hard, or he was they can kick him out of the game. Also, they wear different shells all the time. So the fact that the NFL couldn't do it, I prefer Knox's upside. I prefer getting a look at Sweeney. I prefer, Hollister. I think Jacob Hollister caught Josh Allen's first college pass, which is crazy. I was watching some Josh Allen highlights from Wyoming earlier this week, and I think he might have done it. I just prefer seeing what comes out of that group as opposed to a guy who might be expensive, broken down. The Bills did look at a Greg Olsen last year, and you'll say old and broken down, and that may be true. I was a fan of that potential move because I felt there was familiarity there. I like that maybe Olsen would be there to mentor just as much as he was to, play, to teach. He was a part of that tight end that was run by Kelsey and run by Kittle. So maybe Knox, cleaned up a few things, refined some things, learned some things. And it's just for him, it's health and consistency. I think that's our whole team. I look at the division and I just see, outside of the Bills, and it sounds biased, it sounds homerish. I see, Dolphins, despite the 10-6, I see a big question mark. To me, this season is for a 10-6 team that didn't make the playoffs, they are the biggest question mark hot seat team there is. Did they pass on a good quarterback to take a bust quarterback? Did the head coach lose the team late last year? Yin and yanging the quarterback. All the players that they brought in via free agency, they released. All those leadership types like Van Oy and Eric Flowers and such. What did they do? Did they cut off their nose to spite their face? I don't know. So and the Jets, huge question mark to me. Huge question mark. Everything the Jets do until it's like the Bills, even maybe worse, because everything that they do in this media market is a question mark. John, my whole thing is with us, KC for a while. I don't see any team near Buffalo yet. It's I think Cleveland is in there, depending on how they stay healthy, how their culture, like the Bills, how does their culture transfer into the second season under Stefanski? How are they able to keep that going? Does Baker take another step? Are they able to keep that same offense, going, where it's the run, hard play action, the boots, the rolling out, which was very, very effective. I mean, they played really good football last year. I'm not going to take anything away from them. I mean, they had some inconsistent games, but when the way they beat the hell out of the Titans, they went down there and smacked them in the mouth. They beat Pittsburgh up pretty good, and they got over some storms. So I mean, I'll put them in that group too. And it's good to see. It's really refreshing to see a changing of the guard. Particularly in the AFC East, I would say. You've seen the Pittsburghs on there on the top for so long, and obviously the Patriots, and then you have Baltimore in there too, and KC's always been very consistent. I'll give them that. They've always been very consistent. They've never been quite to the bottom. I think the worst was when they drafted first overall after the whole Todd Haley situation, and Scott Paoli and the situation that they had there was just really bad. But outside of that, they've always been very consistent. Even going back to when I was little, even if it was this Marty Schottenheimer and quarterbacks like Steve DeBerg, they were always just very consistent. And they just won games. Christian Okoye, they always had great defenses. Derek Thomas, Neil Smith, guys like that. So, they're just a consistent organization. Yeah, Baker is a baller, man. I remember him versus Ohio State. Yeah, he's he's a good player. I mean, he's a good player. You know, he was the first overall pick for a reason. He's talented. You know, he's got a lot of moxie. It was a fun game to watch. Unfortunately, I think OBJ got hurt that game, but they ended up winning that game. It was a really fun shootout between him and Joe Burrow. It was a really fun game to watch. But they're a good team, and you know they're really beaten up fan base, much like ours, and even more so scarred. You know, lost a team, got a team back, had a bigger laundry list of quarterbacks than the Bills did. What's up, Hussein? How you doing, man? Season opener too soon, expensive, but I bought tickets to the Texans game. I have to see Allen and Diggs live. Yeah, man, seeing Allen live is something, you know, to behold. It really is. I was watching back a little bit of the Cleveland game that I went to back in 2018, and just you could really see, like, he just made everything he did looked good. It looked like, oh, like just him just taking a drop and like scrambling. He just looks like, I can see how a scout or a you know personnel dude would be like drawn. And then you see like Baker, you see Tyrod, you saw, you know, I saw Pearman. They looked more like regular dudes, you know, they looked more like just regular guys. You know, again, sounds homerish, but you know, he really jumps off the screen. Yeah, John, that you bring up a good point. It's the opener, and I was going to bring that up, but you reminded me. I would have not brought it up. You reminded me, so thank you. That's the beauty of the room, because there's a bunch of good minds that, you know, are in here that are always going to snap something back for me. Yeah, their line, that's going to be a good game. You know, if there's a game for the Bills, their line, D-line in particular, obviously, their young D-line. Hopefully, you know, you got some veterans in there too. Ed Oliver's a third-year player. He's no longer a young player. He's no longer a rookie. Star coming back, whether it's Addison, Hughes, Epinesa in his second year, and other combinations. You got an old quarterback who's not mobile anymore, who likes to dink and dunk. You got to get after Ben. You got to make Ben uncomfortable. You got to make him have one of those crappy road Ben Roethlisberger games where he throws just some, you know, deer in the headlights interceptions, or just some goofy interceptions, some tip passes, you know, making him move off the spot, get them frustrated, get their wide receivers chirping at each other. You know, they're a young hothead group still, in my opinion. So I think that they're susceptible, and they're kind of at that teetering point now as an organization. They can have another 11-6, 12-5, or you could see them being like 7-10 or 8-9, because they have those type of personalities that are really big, and it just seems there's something that's going on there. And for a guy like Mike Tomlin, who's considered a player's coach, who's considered a guy who runs a tight ship, it's been, you know, what's going on there. I mean, with whether it was Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, you know, you have the other wide receiver, you know, Schuster, you know, you had Claypool fighting at a California, a club in California, in Malibu. He was like videotapes of him fighting, didn't get arrested. And it's just, you know, they look like they could be headed toward that 80s road after they, you know, lost their Super Bowl, you know, their Super Bowl roster got old, and they had some lean years there. John Smith, what's up, Dougie Masters? How you doing, bro? Good to see you. How's my sound? Well, somebody tells me if the sound is good or not, because I have a new device here. If it's better than it was, or it's the same, I'm trying to see. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, I never was a fan of them, but you got to respect how they do things, because they're so damn consistent, and consistency. Awesome, bro. No, I upgraded the sound, had a really nice gift given to me, and you know, so I don't sound shitty or whatever. So they said, you know, this was good, so I appreciated it, man. Awesome. Yeah. You live in Western Pennsylvania, so you live out there, so you get it. the terrible towel, the Permonte brothers, all that stuff. You got the full gamut of Steeler impact. They're a very loyal fan base. They're much like the Raider fan base without this. I mean, the Raiders had success a long time ago, but Steelers have had more consistent success, obviously, as we all know. But yeah, they're pretty. I know a few Steeler fans here. I know a few, throughout the years in different other places. He's never had a losing season. Yeah, he's been 8-8. That's his just middling it. So I don't know. Maybe this is his first because it's odd number of games, one extra game. If Ben takes a hit, they're gonna be. Devin Bush is coming back from an ACL. Joe Hayden's a year older. He looked a step slow last year. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is a really good player. I just think he gets a little too overrated by national media. TJ Watt's a very, very good player. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league. What's up, K-Beats? How you doing, bro? How's everything, man? I was stupid. I opened up the room, and then I'm like, oh, shit, the NBA Finals just started. Like, nobody's going to come in, but I was like, fuck it. But I was also saying when I started the video that I appreciated how tight-knit this room has been, how awesome everybody's been over the years, because we went through a lot of bad years. We went through a lot of frustrating L's. We took a lot of hard losses, frustrating losses, and, we always stuck together. We had some divisive elements come in here, and we all stuck together and got those out of here. And I was just talking about what I've seen on Twitter from Bills fans, what they've been doing to each other over players and different issues is this ugly. And I know Twitter doesn't represent all the Bills fans. It does not. So I don't want to get that twisted either. But I always feel like our fan base is close knit, and I just don't like to see people talking shit to players on Twitter, calling them names and stuff like that, like a guy like Cole Beasley who goes and plays 3 playoff games on a broken leg. I just think a guy like him deserves a little more respect. A guy like Jordan Poyer, who's came here and really started his career, who he is as a player. Damn near he's a Pro Bowl safety on his second contract with the team. He deserves more respect than what people have given him, on Twitter for certain things. Oh, Duran. Oh God. Nothing made me more sick than watching that man on the sideline. Like, what sucks about a guy like him is that guy never leaves your mind. Like, he never goes away. Like, you always remember the bungles and just the stupidity, a guy who went to Yale. I've never seen a guy who went to Yale look more clueless in my life. I mean, that guy maybe should have been running a hedge fund, or I don't know what he graduated Yale with, but I know he played in the NFL. I know that, but he was just a wet mop as a head coach, man. All right, bro. Have a good one, man. You can watch on your phone too, dude. It's all good. You go into a late night session, huh? That's respect, man. Really hoping Cody Ford or Bucker become a Pro Bowl guard. I mean, Ford's got the pedigree, but Bucker really settled it down. But I think Ford gives him a bit better run blocking, a little bit more. And I think he's going to be that. I think he's going to be that left guard in between, Morse and Dawkins. So we'll see what happens there. I bet that's going to be an interesting battle, man. That's going to be a hard fought. What's up, Neil? How you doing, man? I used to call him Fireman Bill. Skeletor, just the quintessential, just lame duck. I mean, just the dreadful. He's the epitome of the 7-9 head coach, the 7-9 bullshit head coach. But I forgot. I said one thing we are going to be getting in 2022 is our red helmets. They're going to do the red helmets. I'm not saying I know, but I do. Every time there's a uniform change or a helmet change, and there's going to be, I think, a couple of uniform changes next season, and every team is going to do some throwback version. And yeah, they're probably 2 games, and they're going to do one of the standing white buffalo, obviously, but they'll do. I think they're going to do a big rollout for the helmet change. They're going to do, the creamsicles will be back in Tampa Bay. You might see either the Houston. I think probably because the Titans still retained all the logo rights to the the Oilers stuff, they might roll out. But it's basically a new color. You could not have a color other than what you have. And in college, it's crazy because the Oregon Ducks have a different color helmet every game. But they have that rule where a DB cracks a wide receiver too hard, he can get thrown out of a game. That can happen in the NFL, but it's got to be really, really flagrant. I mean, extremely flagrant, like a Vontaze Burfict type of thing. But I thought it was stupid because they said, having the same color helmet created an optic in the guy. It's just dumb. Just a dumb made-up rule for the NFL to pretend that they really care. And but yeah, unis are fun. We like uniforms. Different combinations are fun. Yeah, that's a great logo. I mean, I'm obviously not a fan of the team, but I think it's a great logo. I think the Tampa Bay Creamsicles are a great logo. The old original Orange Crush Broncos are a great. I think our 90s red and our royal blues are awesome. Clean colored, clean look, beautiful. And they're going to be back. I mean, when they walk out in those jerseys, I think I'm going to cry because that's going to bring back memories, man. And the fact that we probably will having a good team wearing them. And it's funny, like we're talking about uniforms. It's like uniform changes always signify like newness or just a complete change or rebranding. Like the Creamsicles. Remember when Tony Dungy took over Tampa Bay, they were getting good. They drafted good players. They had Warwick Dunn and Riddell Anthony and Mike Allstott. They just had all those fun, Warren Sapp, all those fun new players. And they just, it's like like when Atlanta got Michael Vick, they came out with those. They just changed them last year and they are terrible. I mean, what Atlanta did with their uniforms is awful. Ugh. Do you think Mahomes is the next great quarterback? I think he's a great quarterback already. Like we have to do what Tampa Bay did. I mean, he's beatable. And he can, put enough pressure on him. He can become a deer in the headlights and run around and make dumb decisions like any quarterback. So, and that's on tape, man. So I think, you just have to go out there and play the game, and you have to be smart, and you can't make mistakes, and you have to make them pay for their mistakes. It's as simple as that. There's no Da Vinci Code. It's just protect and affect the quarterback. Once you have the quarterback, it's the protect and affect game. Who affects their other team's quarterback? Who affects it? Yeah, Boogie Basham, Greg, Ruseo, Epinesa, Oliver, Hughes, Addison, Starr, all those guys, just go get them, man. Sick them. Kill the quarterback. That's all you can do. There's, I'd like to say that there's some magic play the Bills could draw up, but it's going to be a long season. One thing I was seeing this interesting stat about Mahomes, as compared to a guy like Allen, who came in and had, Kelvin Benjamin, had Zay Jones, had Andre Holmes, guys like that, Robert Foster, to throw the ball to, Charles Clay, Logan Thomas has actually turned out to be a decent tight end. I mean, I was watching some of his highlights. He's actually blossomed. And every game that Patrick Mahomes has started as a quarterback, he's had 2 Pro Bowl skill players to throw to. Even if it was Tyreek Hill missing a game, Sammy Watkins made a Pro Bowl. He's had Watkins, Kelsey. Kelsey's never missed a game, but then he's had Tyreek Hill. So he's had, then he also had Kareem Hunt for his rookie year. So, it was very advantageous for him. So Josh has never had that. I mean, his first Pro Bowler that he threw to was Diggs, and we saw what happened. So if you put Kelsey, I mean, I really hope, that's my fervent prayer, is that if this offense is to take another step, it's Josh gets better, even better. And I think he still has room to grow. That's the encouraging part. The exciting part about this team is I look at this team and I don't see a finished product at all. I see a team that is still doing this, that ascent. I mean, last year was like they were 10-6 year before. Then you go to, 3-13, and that's awesome. I'm sorry, 13-3, 3-13. Shit. Ugh, that's terrible. How could I make that? How could I mess that up? But that team, to me, is still getting better. Like, you have an extra game, you could be 14-3, 15-2. I mean, the sky is the limit for me. That's the way I look at it. The sky's the limit for me. I mean, I don't see them having and everything that I see from them, they put out fires extremely well. You have a Zay Jones, not so much a Zay Jones issue, but you have him. He's not really panning out. He's a second-round pick. They get him off the roster. Quentin Spain last year doesn't really, doesn't like his reduced role, gets irritated, maybe makes a little bit of a riff behind the scenes. They move him off the roster. Kelvin Benjamin, they trade him for a third-round pick. He's not really doing what he's supposed to do, doesn't take care of himself on and off the field. They get him off the roster. They just put out fires. Does this nah, they're a little bit different. They don't have the elite pass rusher. They had the elite pass rusher with Reggie White. But in terms of, the type of quarterback that they have and the type of, at the time they had a dynamic play caller, and I mean, yeah, and some of those ways, yeah. I just hope they have a longer berth, Zach Ertz, Neil. I mean, every day I look, there's some Zach Ertz something going on. Blame that on PTSD from Jerron mentioned. Yeah, PTSD. Oh, man. Yeah, it was before him. I had Mike Mularkey, PTSD. I had Greg. Oh, my God. Greg Williams was just as bad as Dick Jerron. Yeah, he was just as bad as Dick Jerron. Oh, my God. Greg with 2 G's. You knew it was not going to be good. Tom Donahoe, PTSD, everything. It just, what those guys signaled to me is they were no longer the Bills we knew. That's what they signaled to me, is like the Bills that we knew were gone and they were never coming back. And I just never knew when they were going to be good again. I didn't know it was going to take as long as it did. There was always hope, but yeah, that guy's a piece of shit. Like, can someone explain what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Well, it's simple. The second you draft a Jordan Love, you've not quite turned the page on Aaron Rodgers, but you put the bookmark towards the end of his chapter as a Packers quarterback. And he goes out and has an MVP season. So the Packers get put in a conundrum. They're like, well, he's our quarterback, but Aaron's like, well, you don't love me enough, so I want to go. And it's an ego thing, and it turns into a situation like they have now. He's under contract for them. Where can he go? They can just sit there and say, no, you're not going anywhere. We're just going to hold on to you. And that's it. If he ends up in Denver, then there's another situation. But the way I look at it is, if he ends up in Denver, that's another team that KC has to really worry about. Not saying that Denver is automatically better, but they're closer. and maybe could give them a bit better game, maybe draw them closer to the pack a little bit, maybe beat them once. Because right now, Denver, with their current quarterback situation, is not scaring nobody. I mean, Drew Lock, from what we saw him against the Bills, so inconsistent, makes one good play, but then makes like 5 bonehead plays. And what would you be giving up to get him? You're trading like 3 first-round picks. Or like minimum 2 firsts and a 3, a 2. You're trading a lot of capital to get him, and it's not like you're trading for a 25-year-old, even a 30-year-old. You're trading for a guy who's on the other side of 35. You know what? Honestly, John, with Jake, with Fromm. Also, I wanted to touch on something else too. After this, Fromm, I don't want them allocating. Because I think Mitchell Trubisky is the backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Let's just write that in stone. Mitchell Trubisky is the backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills this year. They didn't sign. The way that Bean explained it, the signing, that was very decisive. Matt Barkley, who's a guy that's loved in the locker room, just amazing in the room. They moved on from him quick. And they said, we're upgrading. They basically just came out and said, we're upgrading our backup quarterback because we don't want to. We feel like we're at a point, if we lose Josh for a week or two, we still want to be able to compete. What does that tell you? So, but my point of saying that, John, is I don't want them wasting a roster spot on a third quarterback. I think Davis Webb's on the practice squad, and I would much rather keep another offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or a cornerback or somebody like that than just have a guy who's in street clothes holding a clipboard. One of those guys. Doug, I need to ask you a question, Doug. I'm trying to find the score from the movie, man. You got to help me out. Some of those instrumentals are great. The takeoff scenes and stuff, some of the flight scenes the instrumentals during those are amazing. I found the soundtrack sweet, but Steve Nelson, I think that they're going to sign a cornerback and probably another defensive tackle. They signed 2 defensive tackles, but they're just kind of like guys, Nazir Smith and the other guy, the Samoan kid. I see them. I just see them as bodies. I don't see them as guys that are going to make an impact, but I definitely see them finding a cornerback. Steve Nelson's been a guy that they've had their eyes on. You know how it's going to happen. Somebody that we don't expect is going to get released, like wow us, is like, oh crap, here's a guy we have to go get. Maybe the Bills release a player that we don't expect to get that player. Who knows? What Bills draft pick are you most excited about? Basham. Because I think Basham's going to come in and play. He's going to come in and just hit the ground running. He's the guy I expect to have the most impact right away. I want to see what Rousseau brings, but I think Basham is gonna have an impact right away. Right away. Any chance? No, I think Star's money precludes him from, because they restructured him, so he's on this roster. And with a guy like Starr in rundowns, the way his responsibility is, he's on the field, depending on the game, the opponent, the situation, anywhere between 35 to like low 40s percentile of the game. So it's important, obviously, short yardage, goal line, stuff like that. But he's going to be on the team. Yeah, I think he's actually a little lighter than 281 right now. I saw him at listed at not listed, but I saw he's really walking around the low, 10 pounds less than that, basically. Yeah, I think he's ready to roll. I think Basham is just going to be one of those just dogs that Bills fans are going to love. I think Basham is going to turn out to be everything we hoped or expected Shaq Lawson to be. Shaq had moments, but he wasn't consistent and he got injured quite a bit. I just think Basham is going to be that, better run defender, edge setter, better natural pass rusher. Yeah, Ruseo, to me, his body comp, Jason Taylor, JPP. Those were the two guys I landed on. Pretty good NBA Finals game going on right now. I watch these games on mute. I don't like the commentary at all. I have no desire to listen to these people talk. But yeah, those two. Also, I know are any of you guys in the room? I know Neil is Buffalo Sabre fans. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was just listening to the Sabres. Was it Paul Hamilton talk about Sabres? And I was just like, how could two organizations that are owned by the same people, same group of people, same city, be so different in terms of where they are? I mean, everybody thought the Sabres figured it out. The Sabres figured it out. Who's your team, K-Beats? The Sabres figured it out. They got Eichel, you know. They had those guys, O'Reilly and all those guys, and they've just been trash. And me, I said I would trade them all. You got to trade. I mean, to me, I just think that he's a guy that he's a good player, but he's not near the best player. And I don't think he's even top. I think he's not even top 10 in the NHL. I mean, and they've hung on to guys too long. I mean, they're an organization, to me, they're like the old Bills. They hung on to guys too long, outstayed their welcome. Maybe they should have moved. I mean, definitely should have moved on from Ristolainen a long time ago. They didn't. They hang on to him. Penguins went to a game. Oh, wow. I mean, that's just, Jesus. That's like, yeah. Reinhart turned out to be okay last year back at center, but I mean, they could have traded Draisaitl they could have got Draisaitl for Ristolainen. Imagine that. And that shit would never happen now. But I just think that, to me, they're in a total reset mode, and they should just get good young players and draft picks for these guys and just try to restock the organization that way. You know, even Dahlin, he's been part of the losing. I would say, you know what? Get a young centerman if you can. Get a like Barfield or somebody like that from the I think it's Barfield or Byfield. Sorry, Byfield. Yeah, I mean, he's not explosive. He's not dynamic. And I'm surrounded by hockey teams here. There's the Rangers in New York. There's the Islanders, obviously, and there's the Devils right over here in Newark. So surrounded by yeah, those Devils, they were good back then. So were the Penguins. They had some good years, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy that about now. Good. Like if I just brush my sound now. How about now? If I just brush my thumb over this, like I don't even barely have to touch it. It just knocks the sound out. Like it's like a mute button. Let's just say like there's some noise outside and but if I let it go, then you hear it. So it's kind of like a kill switch. Like if there's a cursing, like the FDA, like I think you have to, if you curse on air, you get fined or something. You get like a strike against your radio station. So they have that kill button. I think it's like a kill button, but we curse here. So that's all that matters. But yeah, guys, this is fun. I'm hoping that, we don't get any bad news. We just get good news, whether it's a decent player getting picked up or traded for, no injuries, because you always, and I hope this for every team too. I just don't hope this for the Bills. I always hope and pray that every team starts off 100%. Just has a fair, even playing field, and just may the best team win. You don't want to face a team and always have that against you. Oh, you played them when they were weak. You played them when like let's say Cleveland would have beat KC, right? Shit, we would have been happy because we faced KC. We faced the Browns. We don't have to face Mahomes and stuff. But it's like, okay, they beat KC without Mahomes for a half. So it's like, yeah, I don't think so, man. I think people are just tired, and I just think that people have spent their money. They've locked their money in. There's too much financial craziness going on right now, businesses and stuff. So I don't think people are willing to compromise that anymore. I've seen that they're more involved with the Sabres. Definitely lucked out with McDermott, Bean. And then over there with Botterill and all the coaches that they've had just been Housley and Kruger, just terrible, man, terrible. This guy Kevin Adams, he seems like he got a good head on his shoulders, though. He seems very well spoken. He seems young. He doesn't say too much crazy. He's not like this guy, the guy with the glasses always talk. It's a crazy interview. Sabres GM, his name escapes me right now. One of you guys will say it in the room right now, I'm sure. But he was just, give him an interview, like he was just gonna go off and say all kinds of crazy shit. Like it was a hell of a thing to watch that guy talk. But but they ended up firing him with Bilesma, and it's just been a turnstile. But this guy seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he seems like the guy that they got coaching, they played well. So we'll see. Oh man, you ever go to a Bills game? When they come, I was supposed to go. Like I had plans to go to 2 Bills games last year. I wanted to go to the Jets. I was gonna guarantee to go to the Jets. And I was supposed to go. I was supposed to take my girl. It was Bills Patriots at home. I was supposed to go to that game. I had to cancel. Everything got refunded and canceled. Everything thankfully got refunded and canceled. They also gave me the option to push up, but they said that they had to wait to do when they did their single game tickets, and then they would get back to me. Yeah, man, definitely got to get to a home game. But I was supposed to take her. She's never been to an NFL game, and I had never been to a Bills regular season game. I was going to surprise her, obviously, because the way her situation is, I just can't tell her, take her. I have to give her some advance notice. So I was going to wait like 2 weeks and then tell her. But then it was just like I knew it wasn't happening well in advance. So I was like, fuck. But yeah, it's, it is what it is. Hopefully this year we got a full house. And I think that's the exciting thing is our fan base makes a difference. And that's just not homer talk either. That's not like fan base. Like, I mean, seriously, our fan base, our game day environment versus the Patriots, who've had much more winning, historic success across all sports. Who's got a better home field advantage? Who's got a better crowd? Who's got a better like cheering section? You tell me. If it'd be retractable, people would always want it closed, so it may as well be a dome. But the fact, I just think open air with an overhang, because the Dolphins didn't want to be there late in the season. I mean, I just think that it's just such a home field advantage that I would never want to give that up. I would never want to give that up. Ever. I would never want a team to come to Buffalo and just be like, oh, we're playing indoors. We're good. We don't have to face no cold. We don't, imagine a team that comes, let's just say, Tennessee comes up for a playoff game, or, Atlanta comes up for a game. And it's like, oh, we're playing indoors. Like, and it's frigid as fuck outside. It's cold as hell. the wind, the snow. It's like we're playing indoors. We're good. It's like, oh shit, we got to go play outdoors. We're not. It's an out of conference game. If shit's going ugly in the second half, we're just gonna. That's it. Honestly, I think the Ravens are going to take a step back. I think, that running stuff has a very short shelf life. And we saw it catch up again. He got injured. He got injured in the Bills playoff game. And I just think the more you rely on that running, the more it's going to turn out where they're going to get hurt. They're going to pull something. It's eventually going to turn into a pull. It's not even going to take a hit to injure them. It's going to turn into a pull, a tweak, a groin, something. It happens. And you don't hope or wish for it, but it's kind of the history of predominant running quarterbacks. Guys that are going to run a lot and they're just always going to run. That's what makes them special. It's going to take a huge toll. The kicking game totally favored the Bills in that game. Totally favored the Bills. The snaps, they had two different centers, and the snapping affected that game. Yeah, it was not in favor of Baltimore. Baltimore had a good opening drive, and that was it. That was the end. Yeah, I heard them saying that might be temporary home, but how logistically, I guess because the Pagulas are both Penn State alumni, but how could that logistically work? I think that if they're going to build where I think they're going to build the stadium, which is across, like they purchased a bunch of land near there that they now have as practice fields. If they start that as the building site, they're just going to continue to play in Highmark Stadium, and then they'll just move across, kind of like what they did here in New Jersey when they built the MetLife. They just, it was basically right next to Giant Stadium, and they just played it out, and then they just moved next door. That's all they did. The Carrier Dome in Syracuse would be more. I just think that they don't want those guys on that old turf, man. Ugh, that's just an old turf in those indoor games too. I just think that they'll end up doing that. Yeah, I just think that apparently that's where the new site is going to be, because you can even check it out with the registry in Erie County, the land. I'm a psychopath, so I fucking called public records, and they purchased you have Google Maps, and there's the stadium facing west, and it's all there. It's like boom. It's like, I think it's like 10 acres. I think it's like 10 acres. So it was it's a pretty big plot of land. And then all the parking is there. Look at all the money they put into those facilities. Just think about the money that they've put into those facilities and the building at One Bills Drive in every level. I mean, I knew then that they were not moving from that area. I just felt like they're going to be close there. They're not going to want to deviate from that. They like that environment. Yeah, I don't know the guy, so I mean, I just see his tweets here and there. I'm down here in New Jersey, so yeah, I mean, I think it would be impossible to put, a stadium downtown where they wanted to, near the water, because I don't think it can handle the traffic that kind of stadium would bring. Not to say the traffic I heard is bad for Orchard Park, but I just think the ambiance, the tailgating culture, they want to keep that. They don't want to lose that. And I think when you move a stadium to a city environment, you would lose a little bit of that. But all right, guys, I'm going to dip off of here. It's 10:11. Just watch the second half of the game. I really appreciate you guys jumping into the room for a little bit. I hope the sound was good. I hope, you guys enjoyed the chat. This is our last month without football. So we're camp starts in 2.5 weeks. Yeah, honestly, keeping it in Orchard. Yeah, that's to me, like I wouldn't. it would just seem, you know what's funny? And every time you see the Bills on TV, they show Niagara Falls. It's like, that's in Niagara. That's nowhere. And they show the Canadian side too. They don't even show the New York side. It's like, it's not even in the United States that they're showing. It's like, I think it's dumb. I just don't. It's like they're playing here in New Jersey and they always show the skyline of New York from New Jersey. It's funny. Night, bro. Have a good catching. Yo, if you could link me to that soundtrack into the room if you have it, if you have the link or whatever. Because I know some of those that score is a great score, man. It's a great score. I love a great movie from the childhood, you know. But and remember that terrible movie he made to not do 2? Remember that terrible movie, Doug? What the hell did you go and do that movie for? Do you remember the name of the movie he did? Rooftops. It was awful. CUK Beats. It was a terrible movie that kid did in order to not do part 2 of Iron Eagle. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. He even did a little thing before the movie too, where he's like, "Oh, I'm not in this movie because I'm doing Rooftops." I'm like, "What? That's fucking lame." And it was lame, all right. But I appreciate you guys jumping in the room. I really should start scheduling something. I really should, you know, when there's more of you guys in the room, ask you guys when would be it. We'll try to figure out a good time, like a good a good date. It's not intrusive, because I know everybody else has lives, wants to do things on certain days. What's a good day, what's a good time where everybody can be around, because I know a few guys they live all the way across the United States. So for them it's 7:00. Maybe they're doing other things. Some of you guys are Central Time Zone. I'm on East Coast, so it's 10 here. But game days, I'm gonna be open in the room right after the game, unless I'm devastated. I just want to puke. I mean, I was just after that Houston game, I was in a bad spot. But I think we all were in bad spots. But hopefully we'll finally get that promised land that we're all hoping for. Yeah. What am I predicting, Neil? For replace the 13-4, 15-2. How about that? 13-4, 15-2. You guys want to hear a crazy stat? The Bills in the last 4 seasons, I believe it's the same amount or more wins than both the Jets and Giants put together. The Jets and Giants put together, they have more wins. An insane. Like, I think I have it right here. The Bills have 38 wins in the last 4 years. The Jets and Giants together have 35. So if you okay, that's insane. So you double the that's 90. It's that they're 35 and 90. Isn't that that's insane? I was just looking at that. I was wondering about it. I was like, the Jets and because you constantly hear about Jets and Giants being New York teams and stuff. So 32 times 4 equals, so okay, minus 35 equals. They're 35 and 93. The Jets and Giants combined are 35 and 93. And the Bills have 38 wins. That's not including playoff wins, by the way. That 35 and 93. That is, yeah, they've been horrific. And the fact that the real New York team has by itself more wins and just more, that's just, I love it. I love it. Let me see it. Let me see what the Bills have here. Yep, the Bills are 38-26. Bills are 38-26. That's not playoff. That doesn't include the 2 playoff wins or the 2 losses either, or the 3. I should say 3. But, and I know it's against 2 teams, but still, the fact that they have more wins than 2 teams is just a great stat. But all right, guys, I'm gonna jump out. Love you all. I really appreciate you guys coming in on short notice, or no notice at all. I should say no notice. Go Bills, guys. Love you, brothers. Peace.